Hello folks, and welcome to another video here in the Microsoft Sim. This will be another video in the Planes and Trains series. This will be part 2 of the Ghan. Those of you astute viewers of the channel may recall that around about a week or so ago I flew part 1, which was from Adelaide up here to Alice Springs. Today is part 2, and we're continuing the journey up to Darwin. This will be, I think, quite a bit shorter in terms of duration than part 1. Part 1 explained the concept and a whole bunch of other things, and a little bit about the train journey that we are following. Today I'm going to change the focus a little bit and keep the video a little bit shorter. That's the plan. But I think it's worthwhile taking you through where we're going to be going today, what the flight plan is. So let's do that. So little nav map. So I am following the flight plan that you see presented here has been prepared by someone else, and thank you again, mate, for doing that. And I will link to that in the description. And the flight plan replicates pretty closely, does a fantastic job actually, of the actual journey that the Ghan railway takes right through the heart of Australia. So we started down here in Adelaide and it ends in Darwin sort of 3 or 4 days later, and we basically flew part 1, took us halfway, pretty much halfway. Part 2 will take us another 762 nautical miles all the way to Darwin. So Alice Springs here in the centre of the country, the Alice, and we'll be tracking in a fairly northerly direction, so up through Tennant Creek, Katherine, and then into our northern capital being Darwin. So in terms of scenery, what we should expect is very red in the centre of the country. In fact, it's very red in a very large area of the country. But as we get closer to Darwin, it will go decidedly green. We have some beautiful country up here, beautiful national parks, and I'm going to talk about a couple of them en route. The train journey does not take us through the national parks I'm going to talk about, but when people talk about going to the Northern Territory, they generally go there with the intention of visiting a national park or 10. And there's one national park that's probably better known than all the others, so I'm going to talk about that, even though strictly the train journey doesn't follow it. So folks, we've got a little nav map telling us that it's 762 miles, 25 waypoints. Our fuel page will tell us how long this is going to take us. So 2 hours and 41 minutes according to little nav map, and I find that it's very accurate in terms of its estimation. It's got us using 187 gallons worth of fuel. We're carrying 260, so we've got an absolute shitload of gas on board. Yeah, lightly loaded in terms of packs. It's just due to myself. And we're going to do this just like the first flight. We're going to do it VFR. So we're going to cruise at 8,500 feet all the way, which is not optimum for the TBM, but this is not about optimum. This is about enjoying what's underneath us, folks, enjoying the scenery. I filmed this video a few days before the World Update for Australia. So bear that in mind. I don't know whether the World Update would change this part of the country significantly. The other train journeys that I'm going to do here in Australia, I'm going to hold off on until that World Update comes through. But today, whenever you happen to be viewing this video, just know that it does not reflect World Update number 7. Okay? So with all those disclaimers out of the way, shall we do some flying? Yeah, let's do that. Alright, welcome aboard, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get ourselves set up for a start, hey? Yoke can come off. The most important action on any flight, of course, turning Jude on. Hello, lovely. How are you? Good to see you again. You looking forward to this, Jude? Not as much as I am by the looks of it. Let me just change the view to make this a bit easier for myself. Auto. On auto, we don't need oxy today. We've got our ignition on auto. We probably need to shut that chime off and shut Betty off in the meantime, and then we'll go to a start, which is up here. We'll wait for the NG to rise, which is happening. We can introduce some fuel. Speed bugs can come all on while that happens. Transponder, yeah, we'll be going VFR. MFD, flight plan, I've got everything in by the looks of it. Yep, we're all good. Alright, when we are sure we've got a good start. Looks like we do. Torque will rise and then drop. Yeah, we're good. Okay, so everything up there is good. Nav taxi can come on down there. We'll go bleed on, and we'll go the pitot in the stall, heater on, just leaving the parking brake. Excellent. Local Barrow and FMS mode. Now, so our first waypoint is towards the northwest and about 3 miles. Okay, so why is the arrow pointing in the opposite direction? It's right now. Why do I have to activate that? I don't know. I don't know. I don't need to go upstairs. Now, how are we going to get out of here? Definitely not that way. Jeez, we're close to that hangar. That's a tight fit. Of course, if I was a crude individual, I could say, speaking of tight fits, and then pan around and look at Jude. But I'm a man of class, so I would never do that. A little bit of juice, away we go. Around to the right-hand side, Jude. What do you reckon? I agree. She concurs. Her steely gaze is her way of agreeing, folks. It's also her way of disagreeing. I speak I speak fluent Jude. It's frequent Jude. I speak to Jude frequently. She doesn't speak to me frequently. We need to dial in an altitude selector as we do this taxi. So 8,500 as we taxi around. Multitasking here, folks. This can only go badly. I'm sure I'll forget something really important. 8,500's plugged in. Flaps need to be set, so we'll continue the taxi down here to we'll take off runway 30. Yeah, so 3 miles off the end of the runway is our first waypoint. So I'll try and make this a shorter video than part 1, folks. Sure some viewers will be pleased with that. One of the most humbling things you can do if you have a YouTube channel is to look at the stats. What do they call analytics? The cool kids call them analytics, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that YouTube tracks. But the one that shows the watch time per video, folks, if you've got any semblance of self-esteem linked to your YouTube performance, don't check that stat. It is very humbling. You put together videos that are, you know, on my channel, they tend to be between sort of 20 and 30 minutes. Some of them are shorter, occasionally longer ones, like part 1, which was about 50 minutes. And, yeah, you check that stat and you see that, you know, for a 20-minute video, for example, the average watch time might be like 1:30 or something. You know, the average watch time. And the reason I mention this is that I appreciate so much when people make comments either to the effect that they've watched the whole video, as we put the lights on, we'll do the transponder thing as well while we're here, that they've watched the whole video, or the majority of their comments suggest they have watched a fair portion of the video. I really do appreciate it, because the vast majority of viewers at least to my videos are not in it for the long haul, folks. And that's okay. Look, we all do that, I think. But yeah, I just want to say thank you to those of you that those of you with real commitment, or is it real resilience? I don't know, but thank you anyway. Heading bug will need to be aligned, so let's make sure we've got this thing sorted, folks. So local barrow set, we've got flaps, we've got trim, we've got lights on. Heading bug aligned. First waypoint's 3 miles. We might go early with the autopilot, I think, because we've got a serious sharp turn after waypoint 1. So that's where the train starts, and then into the city of Alice, and then northbound. All right, I think we're good. Let's do this thing. Power coming in. Looking for about 95% on the torque. The windsock is suggesting we've got a tailwind. Too late now. 95% on the torque. I'll take 97, close enough. Looking for about 80 on the rotate. Here we go, folks. Part 2 begins. 60 knots now. We're looking for rotate at about 80, so about there. And where we go? We've got positive rate. We do. Gear coming up. There we go. We're going to try and track that magenta as best we can. We're going to get Georgie to do some flying quite early. We're going to go flaps up. Continue climbing out. And we'll go your damper flight director autopilot nav. Do your thing, Georgie. Climb away. Overhead the middle marker now. You're going to need to make a short short turn to the right. Not a short turn. A sharp turn to the right. At waypoint 1, which is 1.5 miles away. I'll just continue in pitch mode for a bit. We'll go outside and see what this turn looks like from outside. Start your turn any moment, Georgie. Thank you, sir. And that's where we departed from. That's the airstrip. It's a beautiful day here in Alice Springs. Gorgeous, warm. Alright. Now, is that where the train starts from? Am I right? Is that the railway line here? I don't know. I think it might be. Looks like a railway line. So now through the town of Alice, there we go, on the other side of the hills is the majority of the population. It looks like a racetrack. There we go, looks like some sporting fields down here. Yeah, there's a railway going through there and cutting through the gap. Jump back inside for a minute. See what Georgie's up to. There we go. We're in business. We might go into flight level change mode, Georgie, and just we'll go for a nice high-speed climb actually. About 180 knots, something like that. No, that's not what I want. I didn't want to zoom in. I just want to move the wheel. Alright, so 8,500 feet, folks, is our planned cruise. Georgie's in command. Jude's doing her thing, which means not much. I'll rejoin you somewhere in the cruise and we'll talk a little bit about places en route. And towards the end of the flight, I'll talk more about the national parks that you will find in this part of the world. As I said earlier, it will be a much shorter video than part 1. We'll see you sometime later in the flight, folks. Alright, so we're currently sort of halfway between our point of departure being Alice Springs down here and the next sort of major town, which is called Tennant Creek up here. We're about halfway. And I thought I'd call attention because there's a little town about halfway between Alice and Tennant Creek on the road here. This is the main drag. This is the Barclay Highway. There's a little town here called Barrow Creek. Like it's got like a dozen people or something like that. Population of a dozen. Tiny little place. It's known as a pit stop essentially. There's a roadhouse. at Barrow Creek. And to the majority of the world, and I think to the majority of Australians, Barrow Creek would be unknown if it wasn't for a fairly infamous crime that took place. So Barrow Creek would be way out there somewhere, up against the or on the highway. The train line runs sort of to the east of the Barclay. I'll take you outside as I tell you this story. I'll try and tell it briefly, those of you that are unfamiliar with it. That's the train line there, folks. So Barrow Creek, population of a dozen or so people. About 20 years ago, I think it was 2001, an English couple were travelling around Australia, travelling in a combi. And they found themselves out here one night, travelling down the Barclay Highway, when something happened. They met foul play, let's put it that way. And it turned into that the name of those that English couple, Peter Falconio and Joanne Lees. Now it's 21 years later as I film this video, folks, and I tell you what, and I'm guessing I'm not alone here, as an Australian, those two names, those two faces, the story remains clear in my memory today as it did when it happened. It received a lot of press. For a number of different reasons. What actually happened on that night, I don't know, and I don't remember the details of the case. But what appears to have happened is that those two English people came across a guy by the name of Bradley Murdoch. Now, I'm not going to show his photo or give you a link or anything like that. If you're that interested, you know, go and look it up. But if you do find a picture of this Bradley Murdoch, you'll see that he's got a face like a robber's dog. He looks like he's probably seen some shit in his life. Doesn't exactly, if you look into his background, he doesn't come across as an upstanding member of society, if you know what I mean. He's eventually committed of the murder of Peter Falconio. Now, Peter has never been found. His body's never been found. There's a lot of places. This is a big country. This is a remote part of the country. There's a lot of places to hide a body, folks, and there's, as we know, there's a lot of ways of disposing of a body. His body's never been found. He is presumed dead, and Murdoch got done for murder and for other crimes against Joanne. Joanne escaped. It's quite an amazing story about how she survives, and I think it's so amazing, or even the word incredible comes to mind, that I think that made a lot of people question the truth of it, the truth of her account. It is an incredible story of survival, and a lot of people, doubted her and came up with all these sort of alternative versions of events and cast doubt on her character and all that sort of stuff. And there was some stuff that perhaps she may not have wanted to be made public about aspects of her life. But anyway, that is a really short retelling of an event that happened out here, this part of the world, 21 years ago. Joanne Lees, Peter Falconio, Barrow Creek, Northern Territory, folks. Otherwise would be unknown to the majority of the world, but is unfortunately known for all the wrong reasons. We're about halfway between Alice and Tennant Creek, as I said, folks. We've got a long way to go, and I will rejoin you closer to a place called Katherine. Folks, the journey continueth. We are about 35 minutes away from touchdown. We've just passed the town of Katherine. Let me zoom this back out for you. Just past Katherine, we've got a RAF base Tyndall down there, Air Force base. So Pine Creek is kind of our next town, I suppose, and then we hang a left. We head towards the Litchfield National Park, then up through the Mantum Dam and down into Darwin. Looks like we're planning an arrival to 29. At least that's what the flight plan has in mind for us. We'll see what the conditions are like in Darwin. Flight's going really well. It's been a beautiful journey, visual, spectacular. Just like the first part of this journey was, from Adelaide up to Alice, where now we're seeing some diversity in terrain. The harsh red dirt has changed to a more of a brown with spatterings of green. But yeah, it's been a absolutely enjoyable journey once again. What I wanted to call attention to at this point was this particular area here called the Kakadu National Park. Now, what I could do is sort of give you a guided tour of a website or two that talk about Kakadu. The problem with that is that I don't think I could do it justice. It is a world famous sort of world heritage area. There are many national parks here in the Northern Territory. Kakadu is probably the most famous. It's about, I think, something like 20,000 square kilometres. I mean, whether you measure your distances in kilometres or miles or inches or bloody cubits or whatever you want to do, that's a big bloody lot of land, right? I hate how this continues to... I just wish it would keep the zoom that I want. But yeah, the train, this journey doesn't, as you can see, it doesn't go through Kakadu. It is a protected area. But look, do yourself a favour and look it up and explore it in your own way. And if you've happened to be one of those lucky buggers that actually have visited Kakadu in real life, feel free to share that in the comments. I have not been so fortunate to this date. I'd love for circumstances to change that would allow me to get up there and have a look, but yeah, Kakadu National Park, folks. You'll never know if you never go. That was a tourism motto for the Northern Territory back in the day. I'm trying to remember the guy. And sorry, this is just for the Australian viewers. There was a guy, a bloody TV presenter. What's his name? Let me go outside, it might trigger my memory. Or at least give you guys something to look at while I try and trawl the depths of my memory banks. TV presenter, what's his name? That was the motto, right? You'll never know if you never go. Because the Northern Territory is kind of referred to as the never. It's I don't know, one of its colloquial sort of names. Oh, Daryl Summers, that's who it is. Hey, I told you, I just needed to be triggered by coming outside. The ghost of Daryl Summers is talking to me. Is he dead? I don't even know if he's dead. Sorry, Daryl, if you are, mate. Daryl Summers. Hey, it's Saturday was his show. Oh boy, well that was kind of like required viewing back in Australia in the 80s. Hey, it's Saturday. What an interesting show. That'd never get made in 2022. Bloody Nora. Yeah, you'll never know if you never go. And it probably was quite successful in getting the locals interested, other Australians up into the territory. I unfortunately have not had the pleasure of getting up there. How well is this terrain represented, hey? It's lovely. As I said, the red has turned to a sort of a brown with smatterings of green. And a little bit more water. We're starting to see some puddles. They're pretty big puddles, admittedly. But there we go. Folks, about half an hour from Darwin. I'll see you for the approach. Alright, the final approach. About 30 miles to the south of Darwin at this time. We do have some weather painting, folks, and it's been a little bit bumpy in the last 10 minutes or so. Been a beautifully smooth flight and definitely VFR conditions until quite recently, and then we saw some quite heavy rain showers out to the west. So it is time to get this bird onto the ground, or at least start its descent earthwards. So we'll dial in 3000 vertical speed. We'll just cut the power a tad, go into a sort of a, I don't know, 1,000-foot descent for now. We've got some traffic painting as well, traffic that is 7,000 below us on its way into Darwin. So if that's reflective, if that's truly reflective of live weather, live traffic, I should say, that would suggest that runway 29 is going to be our arrival, or suitable arrival runway. Got some other traffic painting as well towards the north and northeast of the field. Bit happening up here in Darwin today. Got some red, weather red. We'll switch over to local Barrow. It's still 29.74. Let's just see what the weather's doing, if I can trigger it. Meta. Okay, so 330 at 10. That's why runway 29 is active. Visibility's great, scattered at 19, broken at 5.3 and broken at 7.3. Alright. So we should have the best part of 2,000 feet of visibility. Oh well, 2,000 feet of sort of vertical space, not visibility. Visibility is this one here. All the nines. 30 degrees on the ground. Dew point is 26, QNH 1007. All good. Happy with that. Yeah, it has been another really enjoyable flight. There will only be a fraction of this flight that makes it to the YouTube. I don't think anyone's really in the mood for a 3-hour production. As I mentioned at the start of the video, I could produce a 3-hour movie, but probably 10 minutes to get watched on average, if that. So, look, can I just say, if you're listening to these words, if you've made it this far in the video, you have my sincere appreciation and sympathies. I really do appreciate. I hope you get viewers to this channel. Whether you subscribe or not, I do appreciate subscribers, but I do hope that you get some education or at least some entertainment out of the nonsense that I carry on with. And this is a different type of simming. This I like this type of simming. There's a bit of a story to it. I learn in the process. I love learning. I love simulation for a bunch of reasons, but one of the big ones is that I learn every single time I fire this thing up. And I hope it provides learning opportunities for others, these type of, you know, tours and themes and that sort of stuff. And there's going to be more of it on the channel. I enjoy doing them, and I hope that others get something from it as well. So 15 miles away, 5.6, we're on profile. Not really VFR anymore. We can still see the ground. What's the official definition of VFR? Can't remember. With visual reference to the ground or something, isn't it? That's a bit simplistic. It's been a while, folks, since I studied all that crap. It's not crap, but it's important if you want to fly right. You want to get a license. If you want to have people hire their aeroplanes to you and all that sort of stuff, and if you want to stay alive, it's helpful to actually know the rules. So the aircraft in front of us, which has joined the final for 2.9, is 3.3 below us. It looks like it's about 4 miles in front of us at the moment. A few bumps here. What we'll do is we'll go lights on. Oh, we left the lights on the whole time. Of course we did. Jeez, folks. Yep. That's how it goes. What was I just saying about it's important to do the right thing? In real life, folks, it's important to do the right thing. Simulated life, you get away with a lot of stuff. So we'll continue. We'll let Georgie fly this thing. We've got, so waypoint 221, and then we're, yeah, so left turn onto our fix for 2.9, and then down onto runway 2.9. No worries, bro. So we're a little high at this point. So what I'm going to do is increase, actually we're going to go autopilot off. I'm going to go fly the rest of this thing because I can. We need to increase our rate of descent. Not quite 3,000 feet a minute though, pal. Here's runway 2.9 coming through on the synthetic terrain. Just want to get down. We're 6 miles. We're definitely high. We're at 3,000 feet at 6 miles. We're in a little bit of strife. But we'll get this thing down, folks. I'm confident. There we go. Bit of rain. Yeah, we're high. We're actually going to take flaps and gear nice and early here to help us get down. Bring that torque right back. Good strong breeze. You can see that preceding traffic just on short final now. The light's flashing. Out of marker. So we know we're in the lateral path pretty well. We've got no other traffic around us. Yeah, just crossing the threshold now, that preceding traffic, and we've slowed right down. Down into full flap extension speed, which we won't take just at the moment. We'll just wait a little bit. Back to Darwin. Never got to Darwin in real life either. Only cap that I didn't get to, I think. And yeah, but been here plenty of times in the sim, and it has never been represented as well as it is in this Microsoft sim. So looking forward to what Asobo et al. I think they're working with Orbex, aren't they? They have been for this Australia World update. I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm going to try and help showcase some of it here on the channel with different flights that we do. Probably a lot of them featuring, or some of them at least, featuring the TBM 930. We'll take full flap. I really enjoy flying this aeroplane. As a real light, he goes overhead. That's the noise you're hearing, folks. That's real life, not in the sim. We're still high. We'll bring that torque back. We'll be fine. We'll get down to about 85 over the numbers. Have faith, folks. Have faith. 10 knots of breeze. Slight right crosswind. We've lost that preceding traffic, or is he on the runway at the other end? I think he might be. Anyway, focus, fella. Runway 29 Darwin. The end of the Ghan. There we go. See, 85. We're close enough. It's almost as if I've done this before. And we'll go to idle. Nice, easy flare. Nice and gentle touchdown. There we go, folks. Get the nose wheel. A little bit of aileron into the breeze. Keep it straight. A little bit of braking. Try and keep it on the centre line, fella. There we go. Nice long runway here. We'll get the flaps up. We'll get off at the taxiway on the left-hand side. Up here. Right here to be precise, folks. Alright. That's it, folks. The end of the Ghan. A most enjoyable journey. Thank you, as always, for your company in another video. And bye for now.